and now I am in Bali, Indonesia. So
Nice. Well, I'm not quite as familiar with Indonesia as I'm sure you are. Where is kind of Indonesia in regards to like foreign policy and culture? Because I'm sure you know from being in the West for a brief period that we have this God, guts, guns, and glory kind of mentality where it's America and we're the best country in the world, and we work hard, play hard, all this kind of stuff. What's the culture like? And then obviously, the U.S. mindset is that we're the global empire here. We rule over the world with an iron fist. Where does Indonesia kind of stand in all that?
that's a good question because not many people know a lot about Indonesia because Indonesia is actually a big country. It's
Mhm.
if you superimpose a map of Indonesia on the map of Europe, it will stretch from the city of London all the way to the border of Afghanistan. That's
Wow.
how big Indonesia is.
Yeah.
It's because of Macador projection, that makes everything in the north
Mhm.
super huge. Greenland looks like the size of South America. That's why Indonesia being on the equator, it looks small, but the real size of Indonesia is like almost a continent unto itself. And it is has a fourth largest population on the planet. The top three is China, India, and US. And
Okay.
Indonesia is right after number four. But it's for some reason not many people knew about it. And Indonesia is also the world's most populous Muslim country. It's a Muslim
Mm.
majority country. But where I am, Bali, is actually a Hindu majority island. I believe it's the last Hindu majority island in the Indonesian archipelago. Like most of the Southeast Asia used to be all Hindu and Buddhist. And that changed around like 14th, 15th century when
Mhm.
Islam started to be adopted by the local rulers. So the Islam spread pretty quick, and then they pretty soon took over Java Island, which is the most populous island in Indonesia. So all the Hindu priests and the ruling class they escaped Java and came to Bali. So Bali is like the last bastion of kind of what the traditional
Sure.
maritime Southeast Asia would be look like. It's
Mhm.
still majority Hindu today. My wife is local Balinese, so they have a lot of religious holidays. Like seems like there's a religious holiday every month, and then my
Mhm.
wife. She's kind of obligated to travel back to her home village to celebrate with her family and stuff. So I just tag along.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually very fascinating. And that's kind of what I've heard of Asian cultures. Now, the only places I've been have obviously been to the United States and then to the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic. But my understanding of a lot of, East Asian cultures is that they have very, very tight-knit family structures. It sounds like your experience there is kind of cements that idea.
Yeah, it's a very there's definitely the family and the community bond is definitely a lot tighter than the West. Because I mean, in US, it's everything is pretty atomized nowadays. First of all, it's a U.S. is the land of the immigrant. Everybody is coming from somewhere, and after the Industrial Revolution, everything get atomized to the nuclear family, but now the nuclear family is not doing too so well in US. So everything get atomized to individual level. But here you still very feel very much part of a community. There's like certain
Mhm.
obligations you have toward your home village, etc. But I'm just here in Bali for the surf. That's why that's why
Yeah,
I like
well, as of this past Monday, it had snowed pretty hard here in Pennsylvania, unfortunately. And I tell people all the time, look, if my wife and I ever move out of Pennsylvania, I am never picking up a snow shovel again. If I never saw snow again in my life, it would not be too soon. And the place we would probably go is down south to Florida. I had a job interview down there, and I was going to work for a General Motors dealership, but unfortunately, it just would have been so much of a ridiculous kind of move. So I guess I kind of pose another question that I was kind of curious about. As somebody who's kind of lived all over the place, what is the class mobility kind of like in Asian countries, because in here, or at least like in my state in Pennsylvania, it's pretty cheap to live, but because it's cheap to live here, you can't really move out of Pennsylvania. And I feel like a lot of people all over the US are kind of in that same situation, unless you're in like New York or California where the cost of living is really high. If you're in a flyover state or somewhere like I live, you can't really move out. You're kind of stuck here. Is that different in places that you've been, or what's that like?
Well, I mean, here in Indonesia, most people like Bali is a tourist island. Its
Sure.
mainstay is tourism. So actually, a lot of people from all over Indonesia came to Bali to work.
Mhm.
But a lot of people also leave Bali to work in the capital, Jakarta, just because that's where there's more opportunity over there. And traditionally, the Balinese men, in particular, they would go out. They either work locally in the tourism industry, or they go working on cruise ships. So you have like their wives are known as like the cruise ship widows, because
Mhm.
they won't see their husband for like 6 months.
Oh.
Um, yeah, that's how it is in Bali. I mean, I can't speak too much because I've only been here since 2019, basically since
Mhm.
COVID.